Hello Achievers, it's Tim Shurr. Let me ask you a quick question. Are you happy with how your life is? That's what we're going to talk about today on the podcast.
Here's the question. What's going on inside the minds of top achievers that cause them to make extraordinary breakthroughs both personally and professionally? My name is Tim Shurr, and I invite you to join me as we take a deep dive into the unconscious mind and discover how to transform your biggest dreams into a reality. Welcome to the How to Be Mesmerizing podcast.
Hey friends, how you doing? It's Tim Shurr. Welcome to How to Be Mesmerizing. And today I just want to ask you a quick question. Are you really happy with how your life is? You know, I talk to people all the time, and of course, I'm living my own life, and it seems like there's always this challenge, this struggle to be happy with how things are, or to figure out how to make things better, right? So we take care of the kids all day, or we work all day, and then we come home, and then what happens? Most people are spending their whole day cleaning, picking up, paying bills, trying to figure out what we're gonna have for dinner. And then when you finally do sit down, like I've got two boys, by the time we do sit down, or we get my youngest to bed, it's probably around 9. And then my oldest, might stay up till 10:30 or 11, depending on what he's doing with his homework. And so my wife and I will end up having like an hour together. And during that hour, we're usually both exhausted or stressed from the day. And then we're looking around at all the piles of stuff that need to be taken care of, or the laundry that needs to be folded, or the boxes of stuff that need to be sorted through from 1992, and then we plop down to, try to watch something funny, and then we can't watch we can't find anything. The Water Boy with Adam Sandler was on last night, so we can't find anything that isn't, 20 years old. And so we end up watching Bravo, and we've seen people that are extremely wealthy just running around on this TV show showing all these highlights of their life. And then it makes people feel, and it makes us even feel sometimes like, man, we're doing it all wrong. We should be spending all our time getting chiro treatments and vitamin IVs and going to fancy places where it costs $50 to have a drink, right? And it just feels like we're doing it all wrong. And it's so stressful. And when we have when I've had these conversations with people, and it just seems like everybody's stressed out. And now it seems like even the kids are stressed out. And that's just frustrating, where you work so hard to try to make things the way you want them to be. And so many people feel like it's just, where's the payoff? Now, this isn't anything new. This is part of the human struggle, part of the human condition. People have been complaining about this since there were people. And, that's why the Eastern movements of mindfulness and being in the present moment and all the stuff about how to control your thoughts come up, because our reality is created in our mind. And we can go through our day and feel happy and grateful and joyful, or we can go through our day feeling like we got the crap end of the stick and everything sucks. And the only real thing that's determining that for us is what we're focusing on and what we're saying to ourselves. But that is the hardest part of it, because a lot of times our view of reality feels like it is reality. We're just responding based on what's happening in real time. These are the facts, this is how it is, and anything else, we're just fooling ourselves, trying to make ourselves feel better. We're lying to ourselves. And I hear that a lot. And it's unfortunate, because people say, oh, the law of attraction is a bunch of crap, right? I've been thinking positively, I've been praying, I've been doing all these things, and life still sucks. It hasn't gotten any better. And when I think about that, it's easy to slip into that and go, yeah, it sure feels that way. But then there's a part of me, because I've been trying to do this and train my mind for 30 years, and I use the tools that I suggest. So I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm always trying to surround myself with other people, so if I'm feeling down, they will pick me up. And there's a couple of things that I've noticed, and I wanted to just quickly share them with you. The first thing is the law of attraction. What happens is how we really feel gets reflected back to us, not our positive thinking, not the positive spin or our hoping, wishing, praying approach. Dear God, please make my life better. Because what's beneath that? The belief is, please make my life better because my life sucks. Because everything is hard. Because nothing works out for me. See, those are the real beliefs. That's what people really think. And that is what gets reflected back from the universe. Because the world is like a mirror and it doesn't hold back. So what you got to do first is think about, what do you really believe? Not what are you trying to tell yourself, but what do you really believe? And if you dig deep enough, you're going to find that those real beliefs are what's being reflected back. Now, what people think is, I have these beliefs because of what the world has given me. And maybe in the beginning, that's true, right? Maybe in the beginning you were hurt. You grew up with really screwed up parents. You were abused in various ways. And so that was your world and that was your experience, and putting a positive spin on it is, I agree, that's not accurate. That's not how it was. The only reason that we would look at it differently or change our story is because that's the only thing that can free us emotionally. Because you can't change that. If that's something that happened, it happened. You can't change it. The only thing you can do is change how you're approaching it and what you're going to do about it. But most of the time, that's not what we do. What we do is we get stuck with it. We get stuck with the beliefs that came from it. We get stuck with the baggage of the memories of the past. And then because of those experiences and because of the beliefs that came from it, it led to a bunch of other experiences that matched it. So you were around a very controlling father or husband, and then, father, and then you marry someone who is very controlling. Or you around a mother who was very controlling, and then you grow up and you marry a wife who's very controlling, right? And so the patterns continue to repeat themselves, not because that's how life is, but because we keep repeating the patterns because we haven't figured out how to change the story. We haven't changed the core beliefs and the core fears. And as a result, that's what keeps getting reflected back to us. The law of attraction is like attracts like, not like attracts what we'd rather have instead. It doesn't work that way. So if you have fire inside, you're going to attract more fire. If you have anger inside, you're going to attract more things to be angry about. You might say, I'm attracting water, I want to put the fires out. And you're like, okay, I'm attracting water, water's coming into my life. And then water doesn't show up, and then you go, see, there's nothing but fire everywhere. Well, that's because what you really believed was there's just fire. And water is wishful thinking, and it's a pipe dream, and it's a bunch of crap. And then, of course, guess what gets reflected back to you? The second thing that I've noticed is that when we start to feel this way, or if you've been feeling this way for a long time, we isolate. We do not get around others, or listen to audiobooks, or read books, or watch inspiring movies, because we think it's all crap and we think it's a bunch of lies. So what happens? You end up by yourself with only one version of the truth. So that truth is the truth for you, because you don't have anybody else that's telling you anything different. Or you'll attract people into your life that just reinforce the beliefs that you already have. So if you hate drama, you will attract people that are full of drama. And then you'll just assume that everybody is like that. And then you'll just keep pushing away. And it just keeps happening over and over and over. And so I listen to people and I hear them talk about matter-of-fact things like, this is how it is. And in my mind, I'm like, that's not how I have it. That's not how I see it. And it's not like I'm different or better or special. I just am looking at things a little different, and so I have a different experience. I have plenty of people around me who are supportive and kind and nice. So when I go through life, I don't think that everybody's horrible, because that's not my experience, because it's not my belief. It's not the story I'm telling myself, even though I have had horrible experiences. And I've been around people where we've had horrible experiences, and I've been horrible experiences for other people. I've created pain for other people. And so when, I've had to really change that and work on that. And, that's something that's you constantly work on. People are like, I don't want to work on it. I want it to just be better. Well, me too, but it doesn't work that way. It's kind of like a shower. You don't just take one and then you're good, right? You got to take one, and then you take one again, and then maybe you skip a couple days. But then eventually you got to take one again, or things are going to stink, right? And that's how it is with your attitude and your mindset. You have to constantly be taking a look at your life and saying, this is what it feels like in my life right now, in my like 4 core areas, with my being, with how I am, with how happy I am, or my confidence, my spiritual life. And then how's my body? How's my health? How am I taking care of my health? How's my business or my finances? And then how's my relationships? You got your basic 4 areas. And, if you're not feeling like one of those areas or any of those areas are the way you want them to be, and the first thing we have to do always, always, always is go within and take a look at what do we really believe about the situation. What are we really telling ourselves when we're stressed out? See, the best way to know sometimes how you really feel is when you're really stressed out. Now, not always. Sometimes people blow off steam, but often the truth comes out when we're angry or when we're really stressed. And then all of a sudden our filter loosens and we start saying how we really feel. Or sometimes that'll happen when people get drunk, right? Because their filter comes down a little bit, or sometimes it comes off completely, and people start telling you what they really think. And that's when you got to take a look at that. That's why journaling has been so popular for so long, because in the process of writing, you're actually writing down what you really believe. You're writing down what you really are thinking in your mind. And then that's when it becomes obvious that, well, look at what I'm actually writing down. I mean, I have journals. I journaled for a long time when I was in my early 20s, especially going through psychology. Journaling was really big back then, and so I journaled all kinds of stuff, and it would be a nightmare for me to go back through those journaling books and read the stuff that I wrote, because there's so much self-pity and so much blame and so much anger and so much despair and so much frustration and hopelessness, and so much of it I was creating and didn't realize I was creating it. And so for me to look back and go through all that stuff now, after all the work that I've done, it would be like, it would be so painful. But I can also look back on it and recognize that I was creating so much of those problems I was complaining about. Not all of them. A lot of how I behaved was because of the environment I grew up in and what I learned from paying attention to others, and the beliefs that I absorbed and the stress that I absorbed from, parents that were fighting all the time and all that stuff, right? All the pressures, all the frustrations, all the bad things that happen, right? And so I was just doing the best that I could. But as adults, we can do way better than we could when we were kids, but we're still stuck in that childish story. And we're still suffering because of the wounds that were inflicted when we were young. It's like they've never healed. And then if you're not around support and love, which so many people feel like they just don't get love or support. I mean, how many times does somebody stop you during your day and say, are you okay? You're going to be all right. You're amazing. You're an amazing human being. Things are going to be all right for you. How many times does that happen for you? Like, ever, right? Does that happen regularly? Now, if it doesn't, then that's how most people feel. There are some who are lucky enough to have some best friends that they've had forever. You watch TV shows and it seems like, there's these young women that have the gay friend that's the best friend and so supportive, and they have these relationships and then these romantic comedies. But most of the time, that is not how it is. That is not how it is. People are so stressed out, so self-absorbed, so much in their own story that they really aren't focusing on helping others. They're really just trying to help others so that they get what they need. And there's so many strings attached, and there's so much gossip, and even families. I mean, there's so much stress in families. People complain every time there's a holiday coming up. My office fills up with private clients who are stressed out because they got to hang out with their family members, right? Their in-laws, their outlaws. There's so much pressure and stress, and because people don't sit down and have conversations, and I've only really learned the last 8 years from being a corporate trainer and causing people to sit down and have conversations how important it is, because I was an avoider. I hated conflict. I didn't want to have conversations. I sucked at that. Even still to this day, I'm going to be 49 years old in about 2 weeks, and up to until like 5-6 years ago, if I would have gotten around family, it would have been like I turned into a 5-year-old again. And it was like, what is happening to me, right? I remember having to go back to my hometown to give a talk, and it was weird. It was like I almost melted down before getting on stage. And I'm like, what is happening to me, right? And so it was like I was reverting back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm doing this. I spent my whole life getting away from this. There's no way I'm going right back to it again. So I'm sure you probably can relate to some of that. And if you can't, then you're like, this dude is weird. Okay, he's got some issues, which is true. I do have issues, and I share them with you because we all do, right? And so I just keep hoping that by me being honest and sharing, what I'm going through, it will help you as well. And, and I think that getting to the truth and having real, honest, authentic conversations is what makes us mesmerizing for real. Not just that we can put on a show, not just that I'm walking into the hospital where I'm about to do a program for the leadership team, and, I'm going to go in and do my dance and get everybody laughing and help them build a more powerful culture, right? But I do that by getting real, not by just trying to entertain people and crack jokes and bounce around. My whole approach to training people is very different, and I think that's why we're getting such amazing results. I mean, it still amazes me, what can happen just from sitting down and having these real conversations. So it's easy to do at work, right? It's easy to do when I'm walking in with a group of people that, in many ways I know them, but they're really strangers. It's much harder when I sit down and it's a group of friends or it's family, that is much harder. And so I don't want to ever sound preachy. I just want to, give you some ideas, some thoughts, and some feedback based on what I'm experiencing. And I hope that it helps and makes a difference for you. So let's recap, because I got to get in there. So to recap, life reflects back what you really believe inside. So your goal is to figure out, what your real beliefs are. And then once you start to recognize what you're really believing, then you'll understand why certain things might feel like they are the way they are. Okay? Not everything. I mean, sometimes you might have a great set of beliefs and life still doesn't deliver the things that you want on your timeline in the way that you want it. Sometimes it just doesn't work that way. But you can still be happy in the moment based on what you're telling yourself. The second thing is make sure that you are surrounding yourself. If you don't have any people to surround yourself with, then join a class. If there is no class, then get audiobooks or podcasts. There is that stuff, and you have to surround yourself around it, and you'll be surprised how much resistance comes up. I don't want to do that. It's a bunch of crap. Everybody's a liar. All the resistance that will come up. But all that's doing is keeping you stuck and keeping you right where you are at. And if you're not happy in that place, then you've got to get out of your comfort zone, and this will help you. So you're doing it right now. You're listening to this podcast, and I hope that it gives you some tools and some food for thought. So go out there and make today a sure success. I believe in you, and I know that you can do this. You got this. You're amazing, and you're going to be just fine. All right, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey, would you like more free tips on how to be a mesmerizing leader? Then check out mesmerizingleadership.com, and also hang out with me on Facebook, facebook.com/Tim Shurr. Thanks so much, and make your day a sure success.